Cody. Can I borrow you for a second? Then I'll be over to you. Hold it.
Well, that's not fair now. Forget what you
No. So the 7-8 matchup's already made. These 4 teams are fighting for who will play in the 3-4 and 5-6. The winners will play 3-4 for bronze. We'll play 5-6.
All set there, young man?
Yep.
Good rainy Friday morning from mainland north. It's the third and wettest of the days here at the 2017 CCAA Women's Soccer Championship. And we have got a bronze medal semifinal for you here. One of these two teams will advance to play for a bronze medal tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So a big opportunity for both of these teams, Grand Prairie and the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, or NAIT for short. Very wet conditions out there, a pretty stiff breeze going, so that's going to make some of the offensive pieces for these two teams maybe adjust just a little bit. And the other thing to keep in mind with the wet turf is sometimes you see long balls put in and they can bounce or skitter in toward the goaltender, so it could make some of those chances at the feet of the goaltender a little bit tricky to handle. So they're going to definitely be aware of that. I'm Scott Squires along with my broadcast partner James Wise and our entire technical production crew here. Glad to have you with us. It is the second last day from the event, and James, wet conditions out there, but it was interesting watching the two teams beforehand. They were in good spirits.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a big game for both teams. The NAIT Ooks getting a big win yesterday to get themselves into this bronze medal semifinal. GPRC Wolves did lose yesterday, but they seem to be willing and ready to bounce back this afternoon, or this morning rather, to get a chance to play for that bronze medal tomorrow.
Starting keeper for Grand Prairie is Michelle Brodeur, and for NAIT it would be Renee Chattergoon. So an early corner opportunity, and again, just keep an eye on that ball. It's going to be slick, and it's going to do some kind of bizarre things when it hits the turf. When the ball is wet like that, the turf is wet, sometimes you don't get those real true bounces or movements when it does actually hit the turf. So that'll provide a little extra challenge for these players. Footing could be an issue as well, and I know the last couple of days we've been talking about players running onto that asphalt track that goes around the outside of this field. I know that it's very, very slick right now, so hopefully the personnel here and the coaching staffs have given an extra reminder to the players to not chase any of those balls that go out of play onto that asphalt track, because that could be treacherous.
Absolutely, and you're mentioning earlier the effect that this torrential rain will have on the playing surface itself. On grass, the rule of thumb usually is a little bit of water will speed up the pitch, make the ball move faster, but too much will really kind of flood it and slow it down. Of course, we're playing on an artificial surface with much better drainage, so the prospect of too much water really slowing the ball down isn't nearly as much a factor. I think we'll see a lot of quick through balls and a lot of skipping balls on the ground this afternoon.
So first of two and only 2 games today. It's a shortened schedule. These two teams again looking to get a placement into tomorrow's bronze medal final. The 2 gold medal combatants we already know, the 2 Quebec representatives, the Garneau Elan and St. Lambert Cavaliers. They will play tomorrow at 5:30 for gold. Prior to that, 3 o'clock Atlantic time will be the bronze medal game. One of these two teams will be there, and that's what they're playing for right now. And rain be darned, says the teams. They just carry on and keep on trucking.
Like the first offensive positioning here for Grand Prairie. They let the ball on a throw-in just around the 18-yard box. And a relatively harmless shot coming there. I believe it was Ashton Haycock. Don't hold me to that. We're broadcasting from the double-decker bus here, and the rain has fogged up the windows quite heavily. And there's, of course, precipitation on the outside, so our line of sight is a little obstructed.
Vision a little impeded, but we're going to think positive, and that rain's going to stop, and the windows are going to dry up. That's what I'm saying. That ball now down on that left side. Blocked down there. It was Henley who tried to take that long shot in. Comes back to midfield, and that ball is sent down long. It'll be grabbed there. Chattergoon will put it back into play. Good distance on that one. A couple of players went up for it, including Alana Mawhinney. Here is Mawhinney now. She's got some space. Can she go to the left foot? Mawhinney along the ground. Great save. Rebound chance there. Another save. Double trouble from Mawhinney, but Brodeur equal to the task, and she keeps Grand Prairie from giving up the goal. But my goodness, Alana Mawhinney found herself with space, with time, took the initial shot. Great diving save by Brodeur, and Mawhinney did a good job of following up her own shot to get the rebound, and Brodeur equally as adept at getting up just enough to go over and make a second diving attempt. So a couple of great chances, but a couple of great saves.
Well, it's really the mark of a good goalkeeper here by Brodeur. Whenever a goalkeeper makes a slide like that, it's very disorienting, or can be very disorienting, because you're on the ground, you're moving, you're sliding on a wet pitch like this. You never really know how far you go. So when you get back up, you have to orient yourself where you are relative to your goal quickly. Brodeur able to do that very well and make the second chance save as well.
Down on that far side, that's Jay-Z. Long ball put long across the front of the goal and out of play.
I think that may have hit the top of the crossbar, so a dangerous little cross there. Could have been very troublesome for this Wolves defense.
The Grand Prairie Wolves started off the tournament on day one with a 5-0 victory over the St. Thomas Tommies. The NAIT Ooks lost a tough 1-0 decision to the Douglas Royals. That was on day one. And then the NAIT Ooks had an absolutely huge offensive output against the host Dal AC Rams. 9-0 the score there. And then what was a very exciting game in the gold medal semifinal, these Grand Prairie Wolves lost a tough one to the St. Lambert Cavaliers by a score of 3-1. So that's how both of these teams arrived at this bronze medal semifinal game.
Well, mentioning that there's a lot of soccer that these two teams have played, I think just endurance is going to be a major factor here in this game. This will be the third day that these girls have played in a row, and both of them will have games tomorrow. So lots of soccer, maybe some tired legs out there on the field this afternoon.
Well, to kind of add to that, just the heavy air, the dampness, the rain, the conditions, that can only compound your kind of physical conditioning and just your overall well-being on the field. I guess it kind of just adds a little bit more and takes a little bit more out of you. Spinning with that ball is Moan. Moan's trying to create something now, gets it down deep, and underneath the defensive pressure from Bailey Zarodnik, the ball goes out of play. And keep an eye on number 5 in black, Zarodnik. She's a stalwart player out there. She's an excellent defender and typically will get matched up against one of the more offensive players on the opposition. And just from a kit perspective, Grand Prairie, as we see this long shot come in off the side of the goal, Grand Prairie wearing the all-black kits. They're going right to left on your screen. And the NAIT Ooks wearing the all-white and going left to right. So a battle of black versus white here, the good versus the evil from the old Western movies. They always used to put the black hat on the bad cowboy and the white hat on the good cowboy. Although, I'd have to say both these teams are good.
Absolutely.
That ball put ahead. Chance there for Jay-Z. She got the side of the foot on it. Not sure if she was just trying to maybe loft it ahead to see if her teammate Mawini could run onto it, or if just because of kind of the awkward position she was in, she just did her best to even just get a foot on that.
Now, early in this first half, looks like we're about 10 minutes in. It has been a little bit more NAIT than it has Grand Prairie as far as possession and offensive opportunities. Here's Moan again, in the 18-yard box on the dribble.
Ball comes out. Trying to get that quick shot away was Loins. That was blocked down. So as mentioned, first of 2 games here today. This is, of course, a bronze medal semifinal. Coming up at 3 o'clock Atlantic time, it will be the Algonquin Thunder taking on the Douglas Royals, and that game will decide the second participant in the bronze medal game tomorrow.
Looks like that'll be a foul against the NAIT Ooks. Grand Prairie with a free kick here in their defensive third. Thought about trying to take it quick in transition. They're going to opt to slow it down a little bit here.
Long ball forward from Robert. A couple of players in looking for it there. Haycock tries to get a foot on it. Winterford slides it over. It'll go down onto the far side, and Kaylee Pepper watches it go out of bounds. She'll take the throw in now for the Ooks. Ball up ahead and kicked right back down. Zarodnik put it back in. This is Webb. As the Ooks now try to get forward, and Marissa Webb again put that ball ahead, seeing if her teammate could run onto it, but just a little bit too far.
Excellent transition defense applied there by Winterford, number 6, in black for the Grand Prairie Wolves. Realized she had been dispossessed, didn't put her head down, got back on defense quickly, and was able to at least apply some pressure to Webb for the Ooks.
I think I saw a movie one time where somebody tried to dispossess someone, but I don't think it was anything to do with soccer. But that's a story for another time, James.
Yeah, I think we'll maybe chat about that one at halftime.
I think it was called The Exorcist. That was it, yes. And we'll also see with these conditions and the wet ball how much it may affect the goaltenders when they try to either take their goal kicks or situation like this where the ball goes into their crease and they have to collect it and then kick it downfield. Again, not that these players aren't used to dealing with wet conditions, but you know, it can sometimes cause some things that may not normally take place.
It definitely, you know, a lot of these cleats now are built to be lightweight. It seems, in my experience, that lightweight material and grippy material don't tend to be the same material. So may keep an eye on players out here who are just getting little slick touches on the ball that may not be exactly what they want, not getting the contact that they were really hoping for. I think that could really show up on set pieces and bringing balls out of the air.
So we are scoreless here in this bronze medal semifinal. Just about 12 minutes have come off the clock. That ball put in by Robert and cleared right back away. Zarodnik gets ahead on it, comes down to Jay-Z, who just lobs it forward. Trying to make a run there was Moan, and Moan kind of got tangled up. Zarodnik looked to put a hand on her shoulder just to impede the progress of Moan.
Looked at the referee, not going to go to the card there. I think it was, if it had been a quote-unquote goal-scoring opportunity, he'd have to be forced to give a yellow according to the FIFA legislation. May just have a quick word with Zarodnik here. But definitely have to keep an eye on Moan. She's a very good 1v1 player, has quite a bit of pace to her and skill as well.
Long free kick, lots of air underneath that. One player got ahead, and I believe it was a Grand Prairie defender who got the head on that, and then it goes into the near corner to our right and out of play. And greetings to you wherever you are watching on the webcast this morning. Just coming up to 12:45 Atlantic time here on this rainy Friday. Ball put up by Haycock. We'll slowly run to the sideline, and a couple of players come together. Keeping a close eye there was Gillespie, but it goes out of play. And DeBlanco will just give it off to Kira O'Toole, and O'Toole with the throw-in. And a couple of players tumble down there, and I think that might have been a footing situation. And this is not a good sight if you're a NAIT fan, as it's Alana Mawini, one of their dynamic players up front, down on the turf and a little slow to get up. And again, I think that was just inadvertent contact, but the kind of slick covering of the turf, I think, kind of led to both players going down. But good to see Mawhinney back up, shaking it off. And you know, I'm just, again, not that they're not used to playing in inclement weather, but just looking at the soccer kits, they're just drenched. They've got to feel a little bit heavier. It's got to take them just a little bit of time to kind of get into the flow here.
I mean, growing up in Tennessee, when we got to play in rain, I always actually appreciated it because it kept the temperature down.
Here's, look at Mawhinney now, up off the turf with a chance. Mawhinney tried to get it there, but Brodeur, very aggressive, coming out to clear it away from an on-rushing Mawhinney. And wouldn't that have been something if Mawhinney, who literally just seconds ago pulled herself up off the carpet, had been able to get the go-ahead goal. But we stay 0-0. Excellent work by Brodeur, playing the sweeper keeper, recognizing that she needed to come out of her box, got that ball clear. Going back to the turf situation, what I think we saw there with Mawhinney going down is though the jerseys may be heavier, definitely gonna be cooler, which won't help here. Even though it's not grass, because the turf is wet, it is harder to get a grip on cleat-wise. We're gonna see, I think, a lot more players sliding out today just when they try to stop on a dime and their legs go out from under them. That ball put in. Jay-Z will give a chase there. Zarodnik gets there first. Jay-Z aggressively from behind wins that ball and slides it over. Here's Moan now. Can she get it into the middle? There's a shot blocked down. Cleared away, another attempt. And Brodeur again has to be sharp. But a nice play started by Jay-Z, who was aggressive down in that corner on the very good defender Zarodnik. Won the ball and then started that play. Brodeur's definitely had her hands full so far this first 15 minutes. Several great saves coming from her, quick off of her line. Grand Prairie, I'm sure, would rather her be less busy if they could get some possession in the attacking third. But Brodeur, clever to keep a clean sheet here so far. Well, according to my handy-dandy weather app, it's currently 13 degrees Celsius. And temperature is going to drop throughout the day, and they're looking like the rain should start to let up somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock. So according to the forecast, this rain may hold up come the second half. 13 degrees, really? 13 degrees, scheduled to drop steadily throughout the afternoon and end up being probably in the low single digits by the time we get to our second bronze medal semifinal later on this afternoon. Great. Said the young man from Tennessee. I said it's you're in the Maritimes. I was looking out earlier, and it's the red raincoat with the neon hoods. The first time I saw that, I thought, what is this person doing? And then someone said, oh, it's for if you fall off the boat while you're sailing, they can see you in the water. And I was like, oh, suppose that's a good little. You gotta think ahead when you live in the Atlantic provinces. You're always on the water. Most people are out in the water quite often, and some of those jackets might not be a bad thing today. Coming in on the highway from Truro. Earlier, quite a bit of water on the highway. There's that goal kick now. Low line drive, bouncing off a couple of players. Haycock gets a foot on it now and moves it up ahead for Winterford. Or excuse me, that's Gitzel. Not Winterford. I think we've already seen players. It's harder for them to really throw on the brakes and stop on a dime just because this turf is a little bit softer today with the water, and there will be a little bit more sliding out from players' legs. Mawhinney put that up, went into the chest of Jay-Z. Now here's a chance. Look at Moan. She turns on the Jets. Moan to the right side. Closing the gap is the defender Zarodnik. And there she is, living up to that reputation of being a lockdown defender. Great job using that long 5'10" frame to close the distance and to stop that on-rushing attempt from Moan. My goodness, great defensive play there by Bailey Zarodnik. Usually on something like that, I think it was number 9 in Blackdale Zeal who miscontrolled the ball or wasn't thinking about her touch. I don't think that was what happened there. I think that's what we were talking about earlier. The ball comes in, it's a slick ball, everyone's cleats are wet. She just didn't get the contact because when she swung through it, everything was slick, and the ball just kind of trickled off to the right. Gave a through ball to the NAIT there. And here's Moan again. Moan down the field again, but she was ahead of the play, and it is offside, so she got to run 10 or 15 yards there. All for naught. That'll come back.
Well, this NAIT offensive, the offensive three of Mowini, Moan, and Jay-Z certainly haven't lost their the pep in their step since yesterday when they put those 9 past Dal AC. They're already heckling this Grand Prairie defensive line. And, of course, the support that they get from Webb and number 7 in White only making that more difficult to defend against.
Put forward by Dalziel. Coming up was Gitzel to push it forward. Bouncing dangerously in the crease, and Chattergoon not taking any chances, just comes out and takes control. And, you know, despite the inclement weather this morning, a nice crowd on hand here. Lots of umbrellas popped up throughout the bleachers to our left and right, but a nice crowd on hand and an enthusiastic one as well. Coming up with it now, this is Morgie. Sarah Morgie, little ball through there, trying to connect with Mowini, who looked to cut in behind the defender. Jay-Z comes up to get a nice ball now as she stole it away. Mowini, she'll survey things from along that line, being watched closely. Mowini tries to make a move around the defender, Gitzel, and the ball goes out of play.
Mowini may have been trying to get an obstruction call there. Referee disagreeing, and it's going to go the way of the Grand Prairie Wolves. Just over 20 minutes passed here in the first half.
A couple of players go up, and it'll come over on this near side. This is Mowini. She's on that ball again. Mowini, nice move around the defender. Gitzel tried to work it over in front to a cutting Jay-Z, but not past the defender. But again, Mowini proving to be dangerous here, and behind the play, the player that Mowini worked around, number 7, Shelby Gitzel, down on her knees in behind and still looking to struggle to get back up.
Yeah, this is not what we want to see. I think this may also be a function of just the wet turf. The Wolves, Grand Prairie, didn't even know their player was down there. The goalkeeper had kind of yelled to go ahead and put the ball out of play. Oh, and here, see, I told you that thing about the goalkeepers have to get somebody else to tie their laces.
So the keeper right now, Brodeur, James mentioning in one of our discussions during a game yesterday with, of course, the big gloves, hard for the, well, near impossible. That would almost be like a Survivor immunity challenge. Whoever ties their shoe first with these big goalie gloves on wins immunity.
Zarodnik being the good sport there for her goalkeeper. I suppose she owes her a couple after the saves that Brodeur's come up with in the first half.
Yeah, Brodeur has been absolutely stellar through the first 21-plus minutes here. So we see right now Gitzel being tended to. And, you know, you mentioned it. The turf makes it, with the wet turf, it's a little more slick. Your foot can slide out a little more easy, and that's where you can risk like pulling a hamstring or pulling a muscle in the lower part of your body. And we've seen a couple of times players go down here and kind of favoring like the calf or the lower part of the leg, and you see now Gitzel walking that off. We don't know if it's a pull or just a cramp, but
walking a little gingerly on that right leg. Grand Prairie is warming up 7 different people. Don't know if any of those can come in.
There's the ball put in by DeBlanco and sent right back out now towards Gillespie. Moved forward. Goes right back and hammered down by DeBlanco once again. That'll bounce harmlessly to Brodeur, who will just, with those newly tied cleats, send it down the field. Bounces right in front of Verhoeven. She couldn't control it. Comes down out of Moan. And Moan tried to chip it by the defender Zarodnik, but Zarodnik stood her ground and the ball goes out of play. Still 0-0 here in this bronze medal semifinal game. One of these two teams will advance to play for bronze tomorrow. And anytime you come to a nationals, yes, it's great to compete, but it's awfully nice to leave with some hardware around your neck. And that's what these players are hoping to be able to keep that hope alive here today with a win. Morgie. Little tic-tac-toe passing now. Goes right back to Morgie. She was watched closely there by Gillespie. And now it's lofted down just beyond the reach of Dalziel. Dangerous chance here. Can Jay-Z spin around and get it? Mowini now will chase it. Turns and fires. There's a quick shot along the ground. And Brodeur, good job. Her body was going one way, and then she had to reach back with her upper body with that ball going the other way, and she does indeed make the save. That's, by my count, probably 3 or 4 stellar saves that definitely would have been in the goal had Brodeur not made an above-average stop.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you were talking earlier, wondering how quickly it would take the jerseys to get soaked. I'd say Brodeur's is already soaked through. She's been on the ground so much making these sliding saves, really keeping GPRC in this one. The Wolves struggling to get offense right now, but Brodeur not letting anything past the sticks on defense.
Well, sometimes your goaltender, your keeper, has to keep you in until you find your offensive stride, and right now that is certainly the story for the Grand Prairie Wolves. Their keeper, Brodeur, keeping this scoreless and keeping the Wolves on an even playing field with the NAIT Ooks.
Looks like we're going to see a substitution here. I don't think Gitzel will be returning. I'm looking to see. Oh. Well,
I don't think they use Duracell because the lights are out.
Interesting there. So it will actually be Shelby Henley from Grand Prairie, who will head off. I think Gitzel is still getting attention on the sidelines. They've elected to not sub her, unless, of course, there's a second sub. There it is. So double sub here by Grand Prairie. Gitzel and Henley heading to the bench. Fiona Cateau coming in for Gitzel, and I believe it was number 15.
That would be Fiona Cato.
Okay, in that case, we're not quite sure who the other substitution was. We'll find out shortly for you, though.
See if we can catch a number on that other substitution, but certainly Shelby Gitzel, who just a few minutes ago went down to the turf after coming in a 1v1 battle with Mawhinney, and as Mawhinney worked around her behind the play, Gitzel went down and seemed to be favoring the lower body, right leg to be exact, but never will speculate, but she certainly did seem to be favoring it, was going off fairly gingerly as she got helped over to the players' bench. So she has been substituted for, so hopefully nothing serious for Gitzel, but Grand Prairie has to soldier on.
And I believe now it will be Taylor Watson who's the player that checked in there, number 12 in black for the Grand Prairie Wolves. And I was just looking down the roster there, and there's one name that we haven't really said at all so far this afternoon, and that's Wukavich. You know, the striker, the rookie striker, who had an excellent day, worked very hard yesterday against, I believe it was Douglas who they played in that final.
Yeah, Wukavich was actually an electrifying. We commented that she was playing with the poise of a veteran, but just a first-year player, and actually in that second half was just great and forced a penalty kick, which she struck very well and scored on. But you're absolutely right. We have not been able to call her number yet. We'll see what happens with her as we go along. And here's a long ball in, punched away. Rebound chance there, and getting a foot on it is Robert, and clears it away. But that ball was well struck from distance, and I think Brodeur for a minute was trying to decide whether that was going to bounce in front of her, if she could catch it. And I think she got caught betwixt and between what she wanted to do, and finally just decided to play it safe and punch it away.
Yeah, Wukavich really been starved for service. We saw Champlain yesterday tried to shut her down quite a bit, and were largely successful despite some through balls and run-ins. And we're actually going to see her switch positions now with number 16 in black, Gillespie. Gillespie now going to play as the number 9 striker and shift Wukavich out to the right-hand side rather as a winger.
Just a little over 27 minutes have gone off the clock here in this first half. We are still 0-0, but NAIT has had several good opportunities, and here potentially is another one racing after it is O'Toole. Kira O'Toole trying to get around the defender there, and good defense by Cato. Fiona Cato, who just checked in a few minutes ago, goes toe-to-toe there with O'Toole and forced the ball out of play.
And here we're going to see the Oops really push up their defensive weapons, both center backs coming forward. A little bit of a risk here. Usually the rule of thumb is you leave one extra defender back for every striker that the opposition leaves, but we have a 2-2 matchup at midfield. The Oops really trying to capitalize off this set-piece corner.
Scott Squires along with James Wise and our technical production crew. This webcast brought to you by Bell Alliant. We are at day 3 of the 2017 CCAA Women's Soccer Nationals. And this bronze medal semifinal game featuring the Grand Prairie Wolves taking on the NAIT Ooks. And we are currently 0-0, but Michelle Brodeur has had a huge part in keeping it 0-0, as she has made several tremendous stops off NAIT opportunities.
And Kaylee Moan being sent off the field here by the referee. Think there might be some blood or something on her jersey.
That's crossed in and cleared off the line. There'll be a race for it now as Morgie gets there, and tumbling to the turf was Woodkavich. And there we finally get to mention the name of number 2 in black, Kelsey Woodkavich, but it's tumbling to the ground for number 2. That ball now cleared up toward midfield, taken smartly there by Dalziel. Now it's Zarodnik, back to Dalziel. Little touch ahead there, goes beyond Winterford.
Wolves trying to take advantage here. They do have a one-man advantage with Moan on the sidelines.
And that's the deepest penetration that Grand Prairie have had into the NAIT end of the field in quite some time. And they had a couple of players moving up front, and the shot was taken from distance and it went wide of the goal.
I'm not sure exactly what happened to Kelsey Moan. It didn't look like an injury. I think the referee had just said, you know, maybe there's some blood on the jersey, maybe had to change a sock. I see her unlacing her right boot over there on the sideline. She's definitely going to come back in, I'd say, based on what we're seeing. Just having to maybe make an apparel change.
Jay-Z tried to get a little back heel on that. Now it's a foot race. Robert gets there first, and Mawini tried to step around and right into the face of Brodeur. And Brodeur, not phased in the least, comes out to clear it away. Standing tall in the goal for Grand Prairie is Michelle Brodeur. Back the other way now. Dalziel goes to midfield, trying to push it up ahead. Woodkavich was hoping to get there, but was blocked away. Goes over the head there of Morgie. Morgie has Haycock try to step around her, and it goes again toward the midfield stripe.
Crunching tackle there from the NAIT defense. Getting the ball and then following through to take out the legs of the player. Never like to be on the receiving end of those.
Haycock now goes over to Watson. Now they get it deep. Can they cross it over? Woodkavich is waiting for it. Good defending there, forcing Gillespie to backtrack. And Gillespie tried to bulldoze her way into the box and past the defender. And Woodkavich was just lurking about 7-8 yards in front of the goal. But they couldn't get her the ball, and it gets turned aside.
Kelsey Moan now returning to, or Kaylee Moan rather, now returning to the pitch after that. I think it must have been a sock change, something like that. Either way, she looks no worse for wear. It'll be a Grand Prairie throw here in their offensive third.
A couple of players exchanging headers. And it comes down and cleared away quickly. And it'll go out of play once again. So this is the most prolonged time that Grand Prairie has been in the NAIT end of the field, trying to get some sustained pressure, but NAIT will clear it away. A couple of NAIT defenders there, and Mawini gets onto the back of Cato and forces Fiona Cato to kick that ball out of bounds. Throw in for NAIT, Kira O'Toole will take it. O'Toole right to Mawini. Mawini takes it down, tried to leave it for O'Toole, and she hammered that ball right up into the elbows of Ashton Haycock. Another quick throw in. And right now, number 21, Alana Mawini, must feel like she's wearing 2 or 3 black sweaters, as anytime the ball comes close to her, 2 or 3 Grand Prairie defenders close the space on her very quickly. Now here comes Grand Prairie. This is Woodkavich getting her bearings, making sure where she is on the field. Woodkavich right along that sideline. Defended well there by DeBlanco. Woodkavich stays right on her back. DeBlanco goes down there but holds herself up for a moment. So that was a good 1v1 battle there. Right tight-roping along the sideline between Woodkavich for Grand Prairie and DeBlanco for NAIT.
DeBlanco's really been an iron defender here for the NAIT Ooks, not only in this game but in the 2 previous games.
Grand Prairie tries to get the ball. Alexandra Verhun. Verhun steps around the attempted tackle from Webb. Good to see Webb back out there. She went off earlier, but is back out, 7 in white, so good to see. That ball goes out of play. Tracking it down over there is Bailey Zarodnik. Still scoreless, 0-0. Just about 33.5 minutes gone by in half number 1 of this bronze medal semifinal. And a collision over there on the far side of the field. I believe it was inadvertent, but the Grand Prairie player went down quickly and immediately reached up toward the facial area, but I think it might have been just an initial kind of jolt. They seemed to be okay. I think that was number 6, Jessica Winterford.
He may have just caught an elbow on the nose or the side of the cheek. Nothing malicious by any means. Still a foul, though. And the free kick will go the way of the Wolves. See if they can do anything with it here.
Winterford punts it down about 15 yards. That ball hammered up the field. Mia Simon got it up there. Now this one a little longer. There's Mawhinney. You know she's going to try and run onto it, but it's going to be too far off to one side and a little too deep for her to get there. Zarodnik now with those great-looking red cleats. Red's my favorite color, and I'm drawn right to them. Can't help it. Here comes Nate now, trying to make something happen into that middle, trying to get it for Jay-Z. She puts it through and she scores! There's the first goal of the game, and it comes off the foot of number 11, Casey Jay-Z. 1-0 Nate.
Yeah, just a little bit of a breakdown in the defense there. They lost possession in the defensive third, Grand Prairie. And Nate very quick off the line. They moved up the forwards in the midfield quickly, got a little bit of an advantage. We're able to just kind of play a simple through ball. You know, the defense stepped to the ball. They pass it through to Jay-Z. Slots into the bottom corner. 1-0 Ooks.
So Cassie Jay-Z's got to feel good about that. And there was no panic when she got close to the goal. She had the head up. She looked where she wanted to put it, and she slid it past the keeper, Brodeur. And Nate has drawn first blood and leads here 1-0 late in the first half. The ball coming down there, headed forward. Comes back out toward midfield. Waiting for it is Dalziel. Dalziel hammers it down, and that'll go out of play.
Now this is a place that Grand Prairie has been before. We saw yesterday when they went down 2-0, and actually were able to come back 2-1 off of a penalty from Wujkiewicz. So familiar territory for Grand Prairie. I think they'll probably respond well here. About 10 minutes away from halftime, and a good time for them to break and maybe regroup in the locker room.
Trying to make a run now is Moan. Zarodnik right there. Moan chips it back to one side, tries to work it through the middle. There's Mawhinney trying to get a foot on it, and she kind of fell as she was getting that right foot toward the ball. Didn't get a good piece of it, and Brodeur was able to get it.
There's a really unpredictable ball there. It took a couple deflections going through the box, popped up near the shin of Mawhinney, and a little bit better contact there. Could have easily found the back of the net for the Ooks for a second.
So Brodeur. Nate finally able to beat the goaltender for Grand Prairie.
It looks like Jay-Z will be flagged offside there on the through ball. Wasn't too much of a through ball, more of just a looping ball through the air.
So free kick opportunity now, taken by Dalziel. Sent down, Winterford. Giving chase is Gillespie for Grand Prairie. Gillespie bangs into Pepper, and those two players come together for a moment, and the ball goes out of play.
Very much, I'd say, an Ook advantage in terms of possession in the first half so far. I don't know what you'd rate that. I'd say maybe 60-40 or 70-30, favoring the girls in white. And here's another chance maybe. Mawhinney to getting to that one on the through ball. Looks like it'll carry just out of bounds for a goal kick.
Mawhinney tried to chip it ahead of Dalziel, but just didn't have enough space to be able to do it. So it'll be a goal kick for Brodeur. So we've had our first goal. Cassie Jay-Z gets credit for it. Showed nice patience when she got in front of the keeper and slid it home. So Grand Prairie, they're under pressure again. Zarodnik's going to try and block this down. Zarodnik again. So impressive watching the defensive play of number 5, Bailey Zarodnik. She is a lot of fun to watch out there. Sometimes watching soccer, you get caught up in the offensive prowess of some players and some of the neat little things that things can be done by strikers up front. But when you watch a player for 3 days as I have now with Zarodnik. Such a pleasure to see how strong she is defensively.
Timed that slide tackle very well. That's a very risky thing to do in the box. Of course, if you miss it, you're giving away a penalty. Read it perfectly, timed the slide tackle, and was able to get the ball and force it out for a corner.
Sometimes defense can be a little bit overlooked, but certainly with Zarodnik, as you said, just a well-timed play and preventing an opportunity from the dangerous Mawhinney.
And you almost get the feeling that these Wolves might want to just get out of this half at this point. It hasn't really been, I wouldn't say it's been a bad, and Moan here will slot in for a second.
Well, it was initially Webb who tried to get a shot in, blocked down, but the ball ended up squirting over to the left side of the field, and Moan was right there, and Brodeur was at the mercy of Kaylee Moan, and Moan again, as we saw earlier with Jay-Z, Moan showing patience with the keeper eye to eye and finds the back of the goal, and a couple of goals here late in the half have turned this 0-0 game into what is now a 2-0 lead for this Northern Alberta Institute of Technology UKS team.
I was about to say, I think that Grand Prairie was doing a good job. I think that, they wanted to get out of this half, but they've done a good job of continuing to play their game, not letting the 1-0 lead, or I guess deficit, rattle them too much, and kind of playing their style of football, keeping the defense well organized. Now, though, the gap is widened to 2, and this is where you have to start to think maybe they're going to have to be forced into making some offensive changes. That foul will go against Grand Prairie and be a UK free kick. So maybe we'll see, we saw Zarodnik committed a little bit further up the pitch yesterday against Champlain in the later stages of the match. I think we could be definitely seeing that again here today.
And as we move into the final 5 minutes of this first half, the rain has held up a little bit. Skies to our left seem to be brightening up just a little bit, so the forecast looking to be pretty accurate here. And I'm sure the players would probably appreciate a little bit drier condition, although I don't know what much more NAIT could ask for. They've been, regardless of rain or otherwise, they've had a pretty successful first half here. They had plenty of chances early on. They were stymied by the keeper Brodeur, but they stuck with the game plan, and they've scored a couple late to have the 2-0 advantage now with 4 minutes roughly left, at least according to the game clock. Match official has final say, of course.
And NAIT now putting up an impressive 11 goals in total this tournament. I think that leads all teams. Don't hold me to that, but based on my memory of goals scored by teams, they do lead in that category. And here's Grand Prairie going to try and mount a late attack here. Why not? Just around 4 minutes left, or 3.5 minutes left in regulation.
Well, if they could score one in the final few minutes to cut the lead in half, that would be a huge, huge boost. We'll see if they push forward now to try to do that, although it's intercepted there by Webb, and she clears it up. Mawhinney, smart little turn there just to clear the ball up the field. That'll send Robert back, Brooklyn Robert. The two number 11s come together, Robert for Grand Prairie and Jay-Z for NAIT, and Jay-Z chases it right into the keeper, who has to kick it away quickly. And then it's sent right back down toward the goal, and it'll be a goal kick.
We saw there the goalkeeper trying to play it into the middle, and I believe it was Marissa Webb who just immediately cut that pass. And I think that may have been one of the indicators of the strategy taken by the UKS here today, controlling the center mid portion of the midfield, not letting the Wolves play through their number 10 right there in the middle, and kind of forcing them to operate on the flanks. If you can kind of cut that middle section out, you can be very successful, particularly when it does appear that the Wolves prefer to play through the middle of the park rather than on the flanks.
Ball at midfield, control there by Loynes. Loynes will just hammer it down. Taking some more time off the clock here. Final couple of minutes of half number 1 of this bronze medal semifinal. Grand Prairie, the Wolves, and the UKS from the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology locked up in this game. And right now it's the UKS who have the advantage on the strength of goals from Jay-Z and Moan. Zarodnik watches that bounce into the goaltender. Jay-Z up there just trying to keep things honest. Brodeur launches it down, chipped forward. Morgie is there. And they'll just loft it back down, taken out of the air by Zarodnik. And as she moved it up, her teammate got taken down to the turf as Jessica Winter went down, but foul called, free kick now, and they take it pretty quickly. Moving it up there was Robert. Grand Prairie would dearly love to tally one here.
Well, it's like we talked yesterday. The first 5 minutes of each half can be so important to how a team performs in the game as a whole, and getting a late goal here could really put some pep in the step of these Wolves going into the second half.
Marissa Webb puts that all the way down to Brodeur. Brodeur will pick it up and put it right back into play. We'll check over on the far sideline shortly to see how much added time. Had a couple of stoppages for injuries, so perhaps 2 to 3. Mawhinney underneath the pressure of the defender Zarodnik. Zarodnik wins that ball, tried to get it ahead as Woodkevich was trying to break free. Back now, Morgie comes together. Nice play by Cato just to remain calm, move it forward.
Balls for Grand Prairie just not sharp enough on that possession. You know, we saw there were a little 50-50s, a little confusion as to who balls were meant for. You know, is it a through ball or is it about a past the feed? It's kind of played in between two players. Putting a name on it is really, you know, integral, and it looks like there will be just 1 minute.
Yeah, surprising a little. But 1 minute it is, so an additional 60 seconds tacked on here. That'll go by pretty quick, especially if you're Grand Prairie. Jay-Z in there battling against a couple of Grand Prairie players. Now they'll slide it down, trying to catch up to was Gillespie, but it's moved out. Moan. She'll settle it there. Verhun on top of her, and Moan gets around Verhun. Verhun stays with it. Down to Mawhinney. Mawhinney down the sideline, being watched closely by Robert. 1v1 battle down there in the corner, and it'll go out of play.
I'd say that probably we're about to see the whistle blown here. Last attack's taking place. I believe the referee just put the whistle to his mouth, taking a look at his watch, and that'll be it.
So that takes care of the first half, and a good half indeed for the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, the Ukes. They came out, they pressured early. Some big saves from Grand Prairie's Michelle Brodeur kept it scoreless, but they finally broke through late. First it was Cassie Jay-Z, and then not long after, a second goal from Kaylee Moan, and that's the way the first half ends. NAIT leading Grand Prairie by a score of 2-0 in this bronze medal semifinal. And before we slide away for our halftime break, James, your thoughts?
Well, the Ukes have come out and done exactly what they want to do. We saw a great response by them yesterday in their second match of the weekend, you know, putting that 9-goal advantage past LAC, and I think that they're picking up where they left off yesterday afternoon. From a Grand Prairie perspective, it's almost like they're going through I don't want to say an identity crisis, but something along the lines of that. We saw them, you know, play very impressively in the first day. Yesterday, they got shaken a little bit, had some moments of brilliance, couldn't quite get the job done. I think they may just be going through a little bit, like I said, of an identity crisis, figuring out how to respond to this adversity. Halftime is going to be very important for both teams. NAIT's got to keep the train rolling. Grand Prairie needs to, I guess, get the engine started just a little bit more. They trail 2-0. Not a big deficit, but definitely something that they'll have to work on early in the second half.
Well, certainly for NAIT coach Carol Holt, her message to her team, I'm sure, will be, let's do much of what we did in the first half in the second. And for the head coach of Grand Prairie, Christopher Morgan, the native of Belfast, Northern Ireland, perhaps he has a little pinch of Irish luck in his back pocket that he can sprinkle around at the half, but I'm sure his message to his team will be, look, we got out of that half, the weather's clearing, it's going to be a little better conditions out there, let's push forward, see if we can get one early and take it from there. So we've got an exciting half coming up. It'll be second half action in just a little over 13 minutes from now. It's the bronze medal semifinal at the 2017 CCAA Women's Soccer Nationals. After 45, the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, the Ukes, are leading the Grand Prairie Wolves by a score of 2-0. We'll be back.
looks like I'm not being serious. It's like I've made it up.
Even the point where, like, the first day it took like 2.5 matches to my back to hurt. Yesterday it took like 1.5. And then it took
Oh, he does.
Oh well.
You guys gotta come back and pull the bronze today. Okay, you made the bronze? You played today, yeah, the guys, yeah. That's 3 in the morning.
It's there, so it'd be crazy.
Guys good? Hi! Hi, my friend. How are you doing? Good job, eh? Girls are doing awesome. You guys are doing awesome. Hi, buddy. Hi. Boo. 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 Boo.
It's like so much of my considerations of what I'm getting out of my university experience is like, am I getting, like, they're teaching me about values, like I'm learning about values, but are these values enough to motivate me to like prove that I've learned about them? And I don't feel like that should be the criteria. Like that's the only truth that I understand. Oh, they're in there by the yellow costume. I'll do a run.
And go. And you know what? Now that you said that, I remember learning about these things when I was a kid too. I totally remember that. When you said teaching, I remember learning about it. Yeah. It says chicks on it? the equivalent of that would be like guys becoming dudes, and now you know that it's the dudes, here they come. Oh my. I've talked to a lot of people. Do you ever speak to them?
It's actually warm when the rain stops. Hey Steve, I'm with your daughter.
Oh, Sam, okay. Okay, I knew it was warm. Hey, how's it going?
And yours is,
That's it, the rain's over now. The rest of the day's gonna be gorgeous. Beautiful and fine.
I got this picture of her.
Yeah, no, for a little short kid.
I've been trying to guess it for 2 days. But I'm
Evangelina,
Beautiful over there. Except the back is so great.
here he comes. Well, maybe that. I feel like there should have been like a band here. Nice. I wonder if they actually have a fireside if that's just a name. Because I'd like to go there and sit by the fireside and have a muffin.
Lots of brain jams going on today.
Oh no! Oh, my chocolate zucchini muffin. Good thing it's in a wrapper.
Thank goodness.
Don't judge me.
Never.
I've never had zucchini in a muffin. Semi-excited. Oh my god. That's legit. Actually, bonafide zucchini. How's your lens looking?
not what.
How's it alright?
Yeah.
That's what children let their parents do.
Yes, they are.
Well, this is our last game for our parenting career.
Oh, look. It's a new pick.
Literally going in the opposite direction of Value Village. The wrong ferry.
So dirty. I feel like it's a not under the button.
I said what?
I feel like it's a finish. If you can, like I don't know if you can do that. Like it's a stupid, like most stupid right foot move,
Right in the middle
or
of
it can be like
no.
replicated to the simple left foot move.
Okay,
I don't know if that
that is fair.
All that more coming up.
outside of the
Okay,
outside of the
if,
left.
if you're cutting in from the left, running across the goal, make it so that you're about to pass the goal.
Right, yeah, you come
Short side, goalie throws.
you come into the left. Yeah. Or even if you don't like that's like harder to right, that's harder to bring in the right leg across like outside the left. Like
Lungs are healthy, but we're
get the head fake.
probably
Wave
5,000 calories.
Jamie while you
You
do it.
probably do 5,000 calories. Zero exaggeration in one. I don't understand.
Oh, wait, it'll be a cute classic.
I mean, you're gonna pull off the one two.
Yes, she's eating 3 pounds a day. Bust your
Go
So
up.
we get my vegetables
We'll
earlier.
go up. We'll go up the way. We'll have a set.
I just had it
Yeah,
eat.
yeah.
Have you had your servings of vegetables today, Scott? Well, yes, I have. I've had carrots and zucchini. Good for you. He's ringing the dinner bell. Get ready for background of during the broadcast. Talk about the Zeus, how they got their name.
Oh, you did some research in halftime. Can't wait. Is it short for something? I don't know.
You know what? It is. And when I asked about it downstairs, and the guy said the full name, I went right back to grade school, and I remember learning about it in school.
Well, I mean, it's totally not worry. You don't worry about other mistakes.
Second half of this bronze medal semifinal just underway between the Grand Prairie Wolves and the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology Ooks. A successful first half for NAIT as they scored 2 goals in the latter stages of that first half, and they are enjoying a 2-0 lead as we start things off here in the second half. And if you're wondering about the mascot name for the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, it's Ooks, which is short for Ookpik, which is a very well-known predatory owl, very prevalent in Northern Alberta. And how the NAIT team got their mascot, it goes back to 1964. NAIT was presented with the mascot by the then Federal Department of Northern Affairs and Natural Resources in a ceremony. So they've had the mascot name of Ooks, which is short for Ookpik, since, gosh, I'm old and it was even before I was born, James.
Well, excellent little Canadian history lesson there. I don't get too many of those, believe it or not. Learned what an Ookpik was, too, so adding
Hey.
words to the vocabulary.
Well, it's funny, when I heard the term Ookpik, I was immediately taken back to my grade school years and learning about various animals from various regions of Canada that were prominent in certain provinces or certain regions, and I remember learning about the Ookpik when I was a kid because I thought it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool looking owl.
Well, the Ookpiks are all on top here in the early stages of the second half, sorry. They came into this half with a 2-0 lead, courtesy first of Jay-Z and then Kaylee Moan, netting the second, both in the last 15 minutes of that first half. The Wolves of GPRC looking to get on the board here early. They've got a little bit of a hole to dig themselves out of if they want to be in contention for the bronze medal tomorrow afternoon.
Well, we'll see what adjustments that head coach Christopher Morgan has made with his side. Don't know if they'll change the configuration too much too early, but you've got to believe if this 2-0 score remains the same and he's watches time go off the clock, he's not going to have much choice. He's going to have to get a little more aggressive and put a few more players up front.
And it looks like it'll either be an offside or a handball. Couldn't quite catch that. I think Kaylee Moon was just a little slow to get back onside. And the free kick taken quickly here by the Wolves. Plenty of time to work with they have, but obviously maybe a little bit of nerviness going through their legs as they're trying to get 2 back here in the second half.
That ball up toward midfield. Jay-Z did a nice job of kind of throwing the head back to push that forward. And now Mawini, defender falls. Mawini now, she's got space and she's got Moan with her. Can she cross it to Moan? Tried to get it there and let it a little too far. And Brodeur had to come out, dive across, and punch it away.
Yeah, Brodeur all over the net so far this afternoon, making lots of good saves. She's been busy, and the NAIT offense certainly isn't going anywhere. Moan will head the corner flag to set up the set piece. And again, the Ooks are bringing the big guns forward. Chance to put this one under the back of the net from the corner.
Well, 2-0. You kind of feel that you still have it in reach. You go down 3-0, especially early on. That is would really put the pressure on Grand Prairie. Here's Mawini being watched closely there by Watson.
And that was nearly 3-0 there. Brodeur just misreading the corner, going a little too far in. The ball drifted over her hands. No one awake at the back post to knock that in. Mawini tried to keep it in and had some good skill moves to hold up possession, but it will go out for a goal kick, but already controlled again by the Ukes of the Northern Ontario Institute of Technology.
Mawini, she's played really well here for NAIT in this bronze medal semi. One of these two teams will advance and play for that bronze medal tomorrow at 3 o'clock Atlantic time, right here in our Bell Alliant webcast. Nice job by Moan to work that back. Chipped ahead there as Gillespie stepped into it for Grand Prairie.
And this is what I was talking about a little bit at the end of the first half. It's just like the passes aren't quite crisp enough for Grand Prairie. Talking to some of the fans at halftime, they said that their team usually does start slow. It takes them a while to grow into the game, but they really will need to sharpen things up. You know, already 5 minutes gone here in the first half, or second half, 40 more minutes to go. A little bit of pressure for the Wolves.
Well, when I spoke to head coach Chris Morgan from Grand Prairie prior to the beginning of the tournament a couple of days ago, you know, I said, if you could sum up the identity of your team in a word or two, what would it be? And he looked at me without hesitation, and he said, hard-working. And they have been a hard-working team, and he's going to need a big dose of that from his players in the remaining 40 minutes or so here if they're going to get back into this one. Here comes NAIT now. Morgie gets it up to Mawini, who always seems to be in the open. Cleared away from the back line. That'll be chased down there now by Simon. Simon just gives way to her keeper, Chattergoon. Chattergoon, a rookie in her first year from St. Albert, Alberta, and has played strong goal in this tournament, thus getting the start here in this bronze medal semi.
Talk about hard positions to come into as a rookie goalkeeper. I'd say one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, to play as while wearing a rookie jersey. Chattergoon doing very well in this tournament and in this game as well.
Some nice play there individually from Moan as she kind of was dipping and diving and using some great footwork to work around a couple of defenders. Tried to get it through again to Mawini. Just went a little bit too far with it, but again, just some great skill there shown by number 10, Moan. Chasing it down there was Webb. Free ball there. A couple players went up for it, and it comes down now to the far sideline. Good battle for it over there. Jay-Z comes in to help out, and then look who it is stepping up. It's Zarodnik, and that ball lofted in, goes well wide.
I mean, at this point, that was not a very good shot or attempt at goal, but for Grand Prairie, just getting the ball, even if it's 5 yards off the net, just getting some attacking presence in the attacking third is going to do a lot for them. They can kind of settle into some positioning and some possession in the attacking third, move the ball around, kind of probe this NAIT defense. It will pay a lot of dividends later in the match.
Brodeur, the second-year keeper for Grand Prairie from Edmonton, Alberta, doesn't take the goal kick. She gives way to one of her teammates to do that. We've seen that a few times in this tournament. Back comes NAIT now again. Deep penetration, trying to cross it in there. Webb looked to get it, but it was broken up, and sending it back the other way is Zarodnik. Now they'll work it down the line. Jay-Z over there watching for NAIT. Does a good job of winning that ball away and then getting it back onto the foot of Loins. Just great individual play there as Jay-Z came over and just kind of outworked the defender and won the ball away and got it over to her teammate.
And this NAIT defense really pressing up a high line, not letting GPRC have much of anything playing out of the defensive third, making it very difficult for them.
And Moan, dribbling with that ball, tried to make a move, and I don't know if she kind of walked over top of the ball or if she just kind of skidded along that slick turf, but she went down kind of all in one motion right on the small of her back, and she stayed down for a minute. She's back up now, walking off, but I don't imagine that felt too good. That's the kind of fall that when it happens like that, you wouldn't be surprised if the wind got knocked out of the person, just the way Moan went down, but she's up and okay, and it's a free kick for DeBlanco.
DeBlanco in a good position if she wants to put this on frame. And they try to play it short to Moan, and it will nearly work there. Clever little play. I've seen it before where the offensive team will stack an extra body on the outside edge of the defensive wall. Player just opens up and rolls off, catches a through ball and tries to put it on frame. Kaylee Moan a little slow off that one, maybe a little heavy on the pass as well, and couldn't quite convert.
That ball goes out of play for a throw-in. Still 2-0 here. And the time ticking off of that clock. And I'm sure a little bit too fast if you're a Grand Prairie Regional College Wolf. Throw in, bounces just to our left. Mawhinney gets it away now. She'll work in, trying to catch up as Webb. Mawhinney tried to work around the defender. Good stop there by Robert to turn that aside as Mawhinney and Webb look to be busting in for NAIT. Turning it aside the other way now is Douglas. Douglas to midfield. She'll be challenged over there by O'Toole. Got it down the line. Gillespie tried to catch up to it, but just a little bit too far. And Gillespie and DeBlanco will just watch that ball roll out of play. Well, the conditions have certainly improved here weather-wise over the last 45 minutes to an hour. The rain has kind of stopped, and skies have brightened just a little bit. Fairly mild out still, so pretty pleasant conditions. Not a whole lot of wind out there, so not bad conditions right now.
No, got some blue sky starting to peek through the clouds. The field, of course, isn't going to dry up anytime soon, but at least it's not the freezing weather of day one. That's for certain. We did get spoiled a little bit yesterday, particularly in the early matches, with a lot of sunshine. Although all signs point to a rather chilly finish tomorrow. I believe they said that the high is going to be 4, so we could be bundled up in the double-decker bus tomorrow afternoon and morning.
Just giving the visitors from other parts of the country a taste of what it's like in the Maritimes. You can literally see the 4 seasons in 4 days. We've had some really cold weather, some blustery weather wind-wise. We've had some bright sunshine. We've had some mild temperatures today with drizzle and rain. I'm going to go back to some cold temperatures tomorrow. The only thing we haven't seen, and I will knock on wood, being my score sheet, is snow. But this is fairly typical of a maritime weather, particularly in the spring and fall. You can see almost all 4 seasons, sometimes in a day.
It's true. It does change very quick out here on the East Coast. On the drive in today, the Volunteers now are placing bets on whether there would be snow tomorrow with the temperature drop. Word on the streets, it's going down to -11 overnight. So definitely some chance for some flurries in the early morning hours tonight, or tomorrow morning rather. Grand Prairie trying to get something done here on offense, getting a little bit more possession in the offensive third. NAIT being relentless on defense, and there'll be a foul there, I think by Gitzel against the NAIT Ooks.
So just taking a peek at the clock here, field level, now showing 57 minutes and 17 seconds and counting. So that clock creeping ever closer to the 90-minute mark, and that suits NAIT just fine. Every second off the clock is a second closer to that bronze medal game tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. And here's a chance now for Moan. She did well to win that ball. She's deep, gets it across. Comes out to the top there and just kicked away. But again, nice work by Moan as she beat a defender, took the ball in, tried to cross it over, but couldn't connect with one of her teammates, and Grand Prairie able to clear it away.
Several teammates lurking around there for Moan. There's a flurry of white jerseys on the penalty spot and around the 18-yard box. No one exactly in the right spot there for that cross to come in. They may have expected it to come in a little closer to the penalty spot rather than further out. But dangerous play already here by the Ooks, certainly not taking their foot off the gas pedal in the second half.
Well, there's no question that Moan, Jay-Z, and Mowinnie have presented all kinds of problems for Grand Prairie here today. Witkiewicz on that ball, and again over on that concrete, stepping very lightly as to not fall. Throws it in. Simon will get there. Verhun in looking as well. It'll be another throw in now, and it'll be taken by Watson, it looks like. This throw in a little deeper into NAIT territory.
I'm looking, there's nobody really flashing in on the I guess that farthest right third of the 18-yard box. A lot of crowding around the ball, and it's good to give options around the ball, particularly on throw-ins, close options, but you need to really function on your spacing, make sure that you have far options and near options, purely so you can spread the defense. The more that you bunch up on offense, the easier you are to defend.
Throw in, trying to catch up to Moan. It's Gitzel who stepped into it. Now Verhun gets it over into the middle. Simon will just pound it right back. Zarodnik goes along the turf trying to connect with her teammate Gillespie up front. It'll come to this near side now. Ball forward for Watson. Watson gallops down there, tries to get to it, but it does just go over the line. And it'll be a throw-in for NAIT.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, you know, the turf being a little bit slicker today. May have to take the edge off of your passes to make sure that they don't drift out of bounds. I think on a regular dry pitch, that would have been a perfectly weighted pass, but just that edge, a little bit extra speed that you get from the slick turf, send it out of bounds for a throw.
Well, we're still at that 2-0 score. NAIT leading in this bronze medal semifinal. And our 3 o'clock Atlantic game will feature the other bronze semifinal, Algonquin Thunder and the Douglas Royals. We know the gold medal matchup. That will be tomorrow at 5:30 Atlantic time. 2 Quebec representatives, St. Lambert Cavaliers and the Garneau Elan. And 2 teams, James, that know each other well, have a lot of history, a healthy rivalry. So that should be an excellent matchup tomorrow for the gold medal at the CCAA Women's Nationals.
An odd, or looks like an odd change coming here. Looks like they're going to be first number 15 for the Grand Prairie Wolves. That'll be Cateau, making way for number 10, Ashton Haycock. And then again, I believe I saw Witkiewicz. No, she didn't sub off. She just ran to the near sideline. It looks as though she was going to sub, but no, she did sub off. Witkiewicz did sub off, and number 9, Dalziel, coming back on, if I read that correctly. So interesting, they're electing to take Witkiewicz off. She's been a really good source of offense for them so far in the tournament. Maybe a change in tactics coming from the Wolves here.
That ball into the box, dangerous there as it rolls just across the face and out the back. But again, what seems to be kind of just not a whole lot going on. The next thing you know, NAIT, a couple of quick plays and they get an offensive chance. Grand Prairie wants to be careful here. They don't want to give up a third. They can't give up a third, really.
We've seen them shift now 2 strikers for the Wolves up top. A little bit more offensive look and maybe some fresh legs to, in place of Witkiewicz. As we mentioned earlier, these girls have now played, this will be their 3rd day of third consecutive day of matches, and that does wear on the legs. I can attest to playing in the ACAA, where on occasion we have back-to-back games on weekends, one on Saturday and one on Sunday, and that is exhausting enough. Imagining coming to play a third, and tomorrow will be a fourth, really is quite the task for any team.
So it looks like Coach Chris Morgan from Grand Prairie has pulled the trigger on a couple of moves to maybe try and spark some offense, maybe, as you say, change tactics or strategy here. And I'm sure he is, like the rest of us, peeking up on that clock and seeing 90 minutes get closer and closer.
Less than half an hour left, right around 28 minutes. Probably closer to 27, and through ball attempted.
Aycock tried to reach it but couldn't. We'll see now if Grand Prairie perhaps tries to do that, stretch out the defense by using some long balls and see if they can get their strikers up front to run onto something. But the back line of NAIT has shown very adept at being able to anticipate those kind of plays and to close the gap defensively. So it's going to be a tough task for this Grand Prairie team. They have no choice but to get at least 2. And that's assuming that they can hold NAIT to no more than 2 goals. A little back and forth action there as the teams exchange headers and kicks back one side of the field to the other. Trying to get a foot in there was Gitzel for Grand Prairie. It'll come up to this near sideline now, just in front of our broadcast position. Coming down with it was Pepper. Ball went up, and now it'll be Pepper once again. She'll just jog back, give it back to Simon. Simon works it up over midfield. Grand Prairie will look to regroup and get it forward again.
And that's what I was talking about, just not quite sharp enough on the passing from Grand Prairie. And also one of the things I've noticed several times is the ball will be in the air, maybe it's it's come off a shin, it's floating, and the Grand Prairie team is waiting on it. One of the things that they teach you even in very rudimentary soccer is always go to the ball if you can. I think these NAIT Ooks, there's another chance right there. Simon coming out of the defensive line to get to that one. The NAIT Ooks are going to the ball more so than Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie kind of content to let it hang up in the air, wait on it to come down. The Ooks are taking the game to Grand Prairie by extension, kind of unwilling to let the Wolves come away with anything easy.
O'Toole works it back to her teammate DeBlanco, who just clears it up, taken off the head there by Zarodnik for Grand Prairie. 2-0 is your score into the 66th minute now, as we again just keep getting closer to that 90-minute mark. Race for it down the sideline, sliding play there from DeBlanco, as she just came flying in to knock that ball out at the sideline.
That run was Alexi Watson, the 14 in black, showing some good speed down that left flank. That's the type of attack that Grand Prairie is going to need if they're going to get back in this one. Under 25 minutes to go left in the second half.
Scott Squires and James Wise with you on the broadcast, as well as our technical crew. Glad to be bringing you this event, brought to you by Bell Alliant. I've got to come up with a nickname for our camera operator. I was thinking Felix the Cat. What do you think, James?
I don't know. I'm looking at Felix. Was that a nod, Felix? Oh, yeah, Felix is down for Felix the Cat.
He's done a great job. He's been hanging out with us here in the double-decker bus, doing a great job on camera for us, and we certainly appreciate it. You get to hear our voices, but a lot of hard work goes on behind the scenes to be able to make an event like this come to you. So we appreciate the work of Felix, as well as our overall technical producer, Brian Fisher. Here comes NAIT now on the attack once again. This is Loins, long ball through, and bounces cleanly into the waiting arms of Brodeur. Sent well up there. Long kick gets by everybody. Now it's going to be a foot race. Gillespie trying to get there.
And that'll be an obstruction call. And this is the type of error that we can see that can really turn into a goal here for the Wolves. I think it may have just been a miss-hit. Miss-swung, tried to clear the ball, didn't read it well off the turf. And, a push from the striker, an obstruction call will leave this in a very dangerous position for the Wolves. Set piece taker. Can't quite see who's lined up over that. Looks like it'll be number 11, Brooklyn Robert.
So a great opportunity here. And if there was ever a moment for Robert to strike her best ball of the season, it would be right here, right now. And she just lifts it a little bit high, maybe trying to see if she could sneak it under the crossbar, but a little too much air under it, and it goes well over top of the goal. So it'll go back now for a goal kick.
Bit of an odd set piece there. It didn't look like she was looking for a teammate. May have just been trying to hook it into that right corner and gotten the contact wrong. Maybe a wasted opportunity there by the Wolves. We saw how dangerous they can be from set pieces yesterday with that penalty by Wojtkiewicz.
Jay-Z trying to get it through for Moan. Back there is Gitzel. She breaks that up. Getting it out toward midfield now and over into the NAIT side. Simon chips that up high into the air. Coming down with it was O'Toole. O'Toole loses it there. Morgie in looking for it initially, and then it goes out of play well over onto the far sideline, right around midfield.
Ooks definitely not content here to just defend. They're trying to push forward and get a third goal. You kind of have the feeling that right now the Wolves are on the tipping point where a third goal could kind of break their will. You know, if they pull one back, it's a whole different story. Looks like it'll be a free kick here by NAIT around the 40-yard mark, maybe 45.
Long ways out, but things can happen on a tricky nature, and it's Zarodnik once again there defensively to clear that away. And talking about NAIT pushing forward, sometimes your best defense is to stay on offense, and it would appear that the Carol Holt-led NAIT side is thinking just that. That ball lifted up, Jay-Z is there, as well as her teammate Mo Winnie, but it was intercepted, and now Zarodnik moves it up along the sideline. Morgie will get there. Gillespie coming up to challenge over there, as well as Simon. And again, the ball goes out of play.
Looks like it'll be a corner here for GPRC, and they're going to really bring up the center backs. They're still sitting too deep, one of them being Zarodnik. I would personally put Zarodnik in the box, one of the tallest players on the field right now, and definitely one of the best skilled.
Yeah, Zarodnik at 5'10". Only Alexander Verhun on this team is taller at 5'11". And there is number 11, Brooklyn Robert, to head that forward. Grand Prairie trying to get back in this. They're down 2. They obviously have to get 1 to start. Working with it there is Watson. Near side. Stepping in front of it was Pepper. Nice work there by Pepper. She gets challenged now from the side, but turns on the Jets. Look at Pepper go coast to coast. Pepper tried to work her way in. She's through to the box. Works it back, but that's just great effort there by Kaylee Pepper, eating up about 40 to 50 yards from one end of the field to the other, and more importantly, taking time off the clock and keeping the ball away from Grand Prairie.
Grand Prairie did have an opportunity to counterattack there. Of course, Pepper being a left back, rather. Grand Prairie couldn't quite get the ball moved up quick enough. And, of course, excellent work by the NAIT midfield, recognizing they had a wing back moving forward. The left winger shifts back into that defensive position to make sure it's covered so they're not caught out.
We have now crossed into the 70s on the clock. 71 and a half minutes, just about, have gone by. So we are less than 20 minutes of clock time away. Of course, again, always worth mentioning that the official time rests with the head referee, but usually the field clock is a good indicator, and we are getting down to that point of the game where it's really going to start to mount in terms of pressure on Grand Prairie just to get a first goal, let alone an equalizer.
You just saw a substitute there. Mawini will head off for NAIT to bring on Haley Peter. Peter came in yesterday against LAC and netted a couple goals, so definitely no shortage of attacking options for the Ooks on the bench today.
So we are in a sunny part of the weather pattern right now. I know you can't see it wherever you're watching, but from our position here, there's heavy dark cloud to one side, heavy dark cloud to the other, but a gigantic patch of open blue right above the pitch. It'll give the players a chance to dry out a little bit at least. Right at midfield, nice little chip ahead. There's a Rodnick, uncharacteristically missing that ball and allowing now an open chance down that other side. Trying to get forward was Haley Peter, and it gets knocked away. Not often you see the defenders of Rodnick misjudge or misplay a ball, but she kind of misjudged that one that came in, and it allowed Peter to make a bit of a run down the right side. Grand Prairie now looking to come on the attack, trying to slide it up forward. Haycock was there. Haycock now has it. Can she work something here against Simon? Simon kind of reaches in. Haycock keeps going. Good work there by Haycock. And then she kind of waited a little bit and had Simon come in from behind. Now it's Gitzel.
Kaylee Moan coming back well on defense there. We've seen her mostly as a striker, but recognizing the danger that GPRC had thrown a lot of bodies up forward. And she needed to get, move back in on defense, applied enough pressure, and forced out a throw. Coming up on just 15 minutes to go left in this one. Crunch time for the Wolves of Grand Prairie.
Ball cleared over to the other side of the field by Marissa Webb. Peter running it down there, trying to catch up as Henley for Grand Prairie. And I'm just not sure at this point, having watched almost 75 minutes of this game, what Grand Prairie can do to break down this NAIT defense and to get some kind of opening to get a chance.
I mean, a little bit of it, I think, will come down to set pieces. They've been unlucky. You know, we saw the miss hit there earlier when they had a free kick on the outside. Looks like they're going to make another substitution here. Or they're going to wait for just a moment. But I'm seeing the substitute line up, penny in hand. Once this ball goes out for a throw. Referee blowing the whistle now. Let's see what this change will be. Looks like number 7 for number 19. So Shelby Gitzel will head to the bench to bring on
Samantha Wiako.
Wiako, number 19, already moving high up the pitch here. It is a throw-in. Maybe bringing in a little bit more of a edge to the Grand Prairie offense. They need goals, and they need them soon. 15 minutes to go, just about.
Well, we saw a rookie make a big impact yesterday for Grand Prairie when Woodkavich scored on the penalty. And the player just subbing in, Samantha Wianco, another rookie out of Stony Plain, Alberta. So we'll see if Wianco has any kind of rookie magic that she can put into play here with under 15 of regulation left. Zarodnik goes high to get ahead on that. Just chipped ahead now. This could be a chance. And a good defensive play covering up there by Grand Prairie, as I believe it was Moan who looked to chip it ahead and run onto it, but it was blocked down. Throw in here from Pepper. Little ball into the middle, trying to spin away with it was Peter, but covering up defensively was Grand Prairie, and then it's sent forward by Brodeur. Over on that far side, Henley. Henley has it along the line. Falls down, but moves it forward. Comes back now to that back line where Zarodnik takes a peek, head up. Comes over to this near side of the field. Don't know if they can keep it in. Oh, they do. Slows down just at the line. Haycock stopped it there. And there was Wianco getting her first touch, 19 in black. And it's cleared down by Nate. Zarodnik. Zarodnik and Peter. And Zarodnik, seeing Peter come down, just decides to slide and to kick that ball out.
Well, this is kind of one of the problems. I was wondering when we would see it. And I figured it would occur, but I couldn't figure out exactly when. But a lot of the sides that we're seeing here are very technical. And they're not used to being in positions where they're down 2-0 with 10, 15 minutes to go. and they can sometimes begin to slide out of their technical formations into kind of long ball and desperation ball. And there's nothing wrong with that, and some teams do it very well. But if you're a team that has been very drilled, using triangle passes, using possession to the midfield, and you're not getting it, and you need to score late, and you switched onto this through ball, long ball tactic, if you haven't been wearing that type of identity all season, it can be difficult to adjust on the fly. I think GPRC may be struggling with that now.
Look at Moan making some nice moves there against the defense of Haycock. And Moan just kept backing Haycock off and then got it close enough where she got a shot on goal and forced Brodeur to make a save.
That ball didn't drift out of bounds off the first touch. Grand Prairie pushing numbers forward. They haven't looked particularly comfortable, as I mentioned, with this all-out attack, kind of lacking identity in the midfield and struggling to keep possession along their attacking third.
And the way things are going right now, I believe, are going to suit the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology very fine. There's not a whole lot of flow. There's not a whole lot of action. There's a lot of stop and start, balls out of play, just like we see there. And all that does in the game of soccer is just allow time to come off the clock, and it does not allow Grand Prairie to get any kind of rhythm going whatsoever.
Precisely. If you're the Ooks, this game of just, the ball comes to you and you put it way up in the air, force a hard touch, that's just fine. I think they may have eased off the scoring a little bit, tried to take less of an offensive presence here in the second half, sitting most of, I think it's everybody except for Kaylee Moan now sitting behind the ball. Moan functioning mainly as just an outlet. If they get a through ball that they bomb long, there is somebody there that can retrieve and hold it up, maybe take it to the corner flag, although Moan even now shifting in behind on this free kick. And just as I say that, it looks like our patch of blue sky has all but disappeared.
That was sent in toward the box, but cleared away by NAIT. Getting a head on it there was Loins. And again, you're going to see NAIT just try to clear that ball away. O'Toole gave it a kick. Again, just a reminder, we've got our second bronze medal semifinal game coming up at 3 o'clock Atlantic time. So make sure that you're ready for that one. Right now, it looks like the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology will be in that bronze medal game tomorrow. Still time to go. Grand Prairie can still get there. But if this score holds up, it will indeed be NAIT moving off into that bronze medal game, and they will face one of two teams, either the Algonquin Thunder or the Douglas Royals. And again, we'll have that game for you at 3 o'clock Atlantic time. Should be a dandy as well.
A free kick given up here by the GPRC Wolves. Definitely not what you want to see at this point in the game. And here's Peter.
Tried to work with it. Coming in to help there was Webb. And now it's Morgie. She'll have to chase it back a little bit. She'll just chip it forward. Peter tries to get it forward. Bounced off the defender Haycock. Moan comes in to help out. Now try to get it back to Peter, and Peter bounced off the defender down to the turf, but NAIT maintains possession. This is Morgie. Clever little move there to get around the defender Haycock, but Haycock stays with it, and the ball will go out of play.
Well, and Scott, you said it. Sometimes the best offense really, or best defense really is just a controlling offense. GPRC right now can't even get out of their defensive third because of the NAIT offense that's just kind of parked there.
And there comes Loin stepping in and just lofting that ball high into the air. Zarodnik will try and keep it in at the line. She just barely does keep it in play. Moves it over, but Morgie will just chip it out.
Less than 10 to go here, right around 8.5. Of course, stoppage time will be tacked on by the head official.
Moan.
Same with the other team, man.
Gives it up to Peter, who will throw in.
Get real.
Or excuse me, Pepper. Now it's Peter.
Stay with it, Hal.
I wonder if they picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter and Pepper.
The referee telling the NAIT Ooks to get on with it. Maybe some dark arts being played by the Ooks here in this last And they're going to go to Coffin Corner. Trying to hold the ball up. Peter, very good at that.
Great work by Pepper.
Oh, Pepper, see, you got me confused.
Here's Jay-Z now. Tried to take a shot toward goal, went off the side of her foot. It'll go all the way to the other corner, but it's just NAIT right now, and you mentioned a second ago, just keeping Grand Prairie hemmed up in their own half of the field. Grand Prairie can't even get the ball forward to even think about trying to get some kind of offensive set going.
Seems it's been 3, 4, 5 minutes. It's been played purely in the Grand Prairie defensive third. They will get the ball here from a goal kick. They're going to need to possess it immediately and get it into the attacking third if they want a chance to get a goal on late.
Brodeur sends it down. It goes on the head of a NAIT player. And now over on the far side, it's Moan, and Moan has it go out of play. But NAIT more than content is to play on the Grand Prairie side of the pitch. Grand Prairie can't score unless they're close to the NAIT goal, and right now they're far too far away. And Zarodnik kind of misplayed that and gives it up to Morgie. And Morgie will just charge it down into the zone. Sliding tackle there by Zarodnik as she took Morgie out of the play. Zarodnik moves it up, but it just goes out of bounds.
Zarodnik, yeah, that first touch, they just let her down a little bit. May have had something to do with the surface, but a good recovery run. Makes the interventional slide tackle.
Moved up ahead. Verhun. A couple of players come together there as Haycock and Loins kind of bumped into one another. This is Moan. Moan under pressure from behind by Verhun. Moan chips it to Jay-Z. She'll just take a little chip shot there that goes wide.
Tristan Wolf, the ball boy, tried to help out there by getting the ball quicker. Didn't quite read the pass and threw it into the back of the net. Good to see the ball got there in time, though.
Far side. Henley. Up there just beyond Verhun. Grand Prairie. I'll just go back and try and regroup. Chipped through. Wianko up there looking for it, as is Gillespie. Gillespie just got a foot on it. Wianko reached in, but it's cleared away once again. Nice play there by Peter to turn away from the defender, and she'll just roll it back down again, forcing Grand Prairie to backtrack. Robert puts it up. And the last 8 or 10 minutes, it's like it's just the train track has rusted and the wheels of the train are grinding, just trying to get any kind of forward momentum. Grand Prairie just having major problems getting any kind of fluidity into their game and trying to get something working on the offensive side of the field. And it's been NAIT who has been the ones providing the rust on the tracks, preventing the train from Grand Prairie to get going.
Although an option here for Grand Prairie, they're going to try and take a crack, no good. And I think you're exactly right. NAIT hasn't necessarily even been organized in what they've been doing the last 10 minutes. All that they've really done is be disruptive. You know, kind of going with reckless abandon, rushing every ball, not really sticking to formation sometimes. But like I said, just being disruptive, causing havoc for the Grand Prairie team, particularly in the defensive third, causing them a lot of problems. Under 5 to go here, 86th minute, pardon me. Might be a little too late for the Wolves.
Well, at what point do you perhaps, if you're head coach Chris Morgan from Grand Prairie, do you maybe bring the keeper up? We saw it yesterday. I can't remember what game it was.
Douglas Royals pulled theirs up late.
Yeah, they had one defender kind of hanging back, but they had the keeper up, and was quite literally everybody on one side of the field. Not sure if we'll see that here, but when you're talking less than 4 minutes to go and a trip to the bronze medal game on the line and you're down by 2, well, pull out all the stops. Literally. This is Moan. She'll just put on the brakes now, trying to step around Henley.
And Moan has been very good functioning as an outlet for this NAIT team, particularly in the second half. When the ball gets played forward, she's always quick there to run on, and she can hold it up, do a little 1v1 action, take it to the corner, take it towards the goal. It's killing time at this point, but doing so in a manner that isn't ostensible, so to speak.
Well, the Ukes just a couple of minutes away from getting a chance to play for a bronze medal at the national championship.
No chances being taken here. They're leaving 4 defenders back. No one's thinking about running in on this corner kick. Try and get a late goal.
Sent in there, headed away. Jay-Z will run into it there. Almost got the foot of her teammate right in the mug. His loins foot came up dangerously close.
It looked like Jay-Z really wanted to take a rocket volley from outside the 18-yard box. Loins not necessarily picking up the message and trying to get a foot in there of her own.
Yeah, and I think afterwards, from our position here, I could kind of see Loins come over, and I think had a bit of a chuckle with Jay-Z. Sliding out to kick that ball away was Brodeur.
There'll be yet another corner here. I think this is the third in the space of a minute and a half. 89th minute now. It would be a comeback if it were to happen, that's for sure.
It's dangerously through the middle, but it will come outside the box, and Grand Prairie will get that ball. And they've got to work quickly, and that's not going to help as Morgie steps into it and intercepts. Trying to get it up ahead there. Gillespie falls. Far side for Henley. Henley settles that ball. Needs to chip it forward. They've got to push through here. Back again to Verhun. Over now for Haycock. And Nate just covers up. Lifts it high into the air. Moan will get over there. Moan spins away from the defender and turns on the Jets. Look at Moan. Gaining midfield and then just kicking it down the line. Not a whole lot of time left here. And there hasn't been a whole lot of stoppages in this half, so I'm thinking that added time won't be too great, at least if you're a Grand Prairie player.
A hint of a through ball there, but dealt with cleanly by the goalkeeper. No real danger.
Pepper steps up, and she'll just send it all the way down, forcing Grand Prairie again to retreat into their own end of the field. They'll get a throw in, but they're going to have to go quick. Down to Verhun. Zarodnik now, and she puts it right into the upper section there of Peter. Pepper steps up and just boots it away. Anything that's an open ball, Nate are getting there. Peter pushes it up ahead. They'll try to work it again. Will Grand Prairie. Dalziel tries to get that ball through, but it's picked off and just kicked away by DeBlanco.
Looking to the 4th official now, about to flash the extra time on his board here. And there will be just 1 minute, 60 seconds to go for the bronze medalist. Or I guess it's tentative bronze medalists here. Grand Prairie with a throw in the attacking third.
Well, the ticket to tomorrow's bronze medal final for Nate is only 60 seconds away from getting punched. It was a couple of goals late in the first half that were the undoing for Grand Prairie. They got some stellar goaltending early from Michelle Brodeur to keep them in it, but they just couldn't muster any offense and get anything going. And this Nate team, just as you said, just not really anything fancy, just, you know, being where the ball was and being disruptive and just not letting Grand Prairie get any kind of flow going.
And Nate will definitely be riding the crest of a wave going into the bronze medal matches. There it is, the final 2-0 for the Nate. What is Ook short for again?
Ook Pick.
Ook Pick. I was going to say Pick Ook, but I didn't think that was right. I had it backwards. So the Ook Picks will head into the bronze medal match.
And a very solid and complete performance by this Northern Alberta Institute of Technology team. Carol Holt and her staff must be very pleased with the effort that her team has made, as they will now, as you say, advance to tomorrow's bronze medal final at 3 o'clock Atlantic time, and they will play either the Algonquin Thunder or the Douglas Royals. Those two teams will play right here on this pitch at 3 o'clock Atlantic time, just a little less than 45 minutes from now. So before we step aside as the teams get ready to shake hands, James, quickly wrap up your feelings on this one.
Well, for Grand Prairie, it's definitely a hard loss. You know, the prospect of medaling out of the question for them. That being said, they've played 3 great games of soccer so far. Definitely high points for them in this one. Excellent defending, we saw specifically by Zrodnik. So nothing to hang their head about after this one. The NAIT Ooks are riding on a high right now. They've scored, if I'm doing the math correctly, 11 unanswered goals in the last 180 minutes. They're going to hope to continue that streak going into tomorrow's bronze medal game. Both teams hard fought here in the first game.
Well, congratulations to both teams on a well-played game here this afternoon, but it is indeed the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology Ooks, the Ook Picks, who will advance to the bronze medal game. On behalf of James Wise, our camera operator Felix the Cat, I'm Scott Squires. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, your final, the NAIT Ooks 2 and the Grand Prairie Wolves 0. We'll step aside and see you at 3 o'clock Atlantic time for our next bronze medal semifinal. Until then, so long from Halifax.